Welcome back to Nightborn Whispers. Tonight, we pull back the velvet curtain on a tale of ambition, deception, and a performance no one would ever forget. What happens when the line between illusion and reality disappears? Settle in as we present the last performance. Here was a time when Victor Blackwood's name meant something. Once, his face had been plastered on posters in every major city. Once, his illusions had drawn crowds so thick that theater doors had to be locked to keep people from breaking in. Now, he was a ghost of his former self, performing cheap tricks in rundown clubs where the air smelled of sweat and spilled beer. His hands, once steady as steel, trembled as he shuffled a deck of worn-out cards. His eyes, once full of fire, had dulled to embers. His grand career had withered into a joke. That changed the night he found the book. Victor had been rummaging through a dusty antique shop when he spotted it. Tucked away on a forgotten shelf, bound in cracked black leather, its cover bore no title. There was only an embossed sigil that sent a strange shiver up his spine. He picked it up, feeling the weight of it in his hands. The moment his fingers brushed the cover, something shifted inside him. The old man behind the counter gave him a wary look. "That book is not for sale," Victor smirked. "Everything is for sale." The old man hesitated before leaning in close. His breath smelled of something foul, something rotting. "You do not read that book," he warned. "You obey it." Victor ignored him and paid for it anyway. That night, in his cramped apartment, he cracked the book open. The pages were filled with intricate diagrams, instructions for illusions far beyond anything he had ever learned. The text, written in a language he did not recognize, seemed to shift beneath his gaze, morphing into words he could understand. The first trick was simple, a coin trick. Victor followed the steps precisely, rolling a silver coin over his fingers before flicking it into the air. As it spun, something strange happened. The edges shimmered, darkened. When it landed in his palm, it was gone. Not just hidden, not up his sleeve. Gone. His pulse quickened. This was no sleight of hand. This was real. The return of Victor Blackwood. The next night, Victor performed again. This time, the club was full. Word had spread that his tricks had become something special. The crowd watched as he performed the sawing a person in half illusion. A young woman climbed into the box and Victor played his part, running the blade through the middle as the audience gasped. When he slid the box open, she was whole. She smiled, waved to the crowd, stepped down, and collapsed. Her breath came in short gasps. When they lifted her shirt, thin red lines ran across her torso. They looked like scars. Victor chalked it up to coincidence. The next trick, however, was impossible to explain. He performed a vanishing act, making an audience member disappear from a locked cabinet. The crowd cheered until the man never came back. At first, they thought it was a joke, but he was gone. The police were called. Victor was questioned. There was no evidence, no body, no sign that the man had ever existed. In the book, where that night's trick had been written, Victor noticed something new. The ink had darkened. The words pulsed. The book was changing. The grand finale. Victor should have stopped, but he did not. His fame exploded overnight. Sold-out shows, television interviews, critics calling him the greatest magician of all time. The book kept giving him more. Then, one night, he found the final trick, the grand vanishing. A trick so perfect, so impossible, it would cement his legacy forever. The instructions were clear. It required a large audience, a theater filled to capacity, one final performance. The night of the show, the theater was packed, every seat filled. The air buzzed with anticipation. Victor stepped onto the stage, dressed in his finest black suit, the book hidden beneath his coat. He raised his hands. "Ladies and gentlemen, for my final act." The audience leaned forward. He spoke the words the book had given him. Words no human tongue should have spoken. The theater went silent. Then the lights flickered. Shadows stretched, twisting unnaturally along the walls. A strange pressure filled the air, thick and suffocating. The audience began to vanish. Row by row, seat by seat. Their screams were silent, their bodies erased. Victor stood in the center of the stage, his breath ragged as darkness swallowed them all. Then, nothing. No theater, no audience, only emptiness. Days later, the janitor found the theater abandoned. No sign of the crowd. No sign of Victor Blackwood. The only thing left was the book, lying open on the stage. On the final page, beneath the instructions for the last trick, were new words. A magician's greatest trick is to disappear. The ink glistened, still wet. Slowly, the book closed itself. You've just heard the last performance. Some tricks leave the audience in awe. Others leave nothing behind at all. Remember, the greatest magic isn't what you see, it's what you don't. Until next time, keep your eyes open, but be careful what you believe, because some illusions are real.